All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Beskar Bucket. I am your host, John. As always, I am with my most esteemed guest, back for his second appearance on the Beskar Bucket, my dad.
Hello, how's it going?
So, today we are here for a very special occasion. We are a part of the Star Wars Podcast Day celebration. And I just wanted to mention real quick that the reason it is Star Wars Podcast Day today, February 7th, it is the 24th anniversary of Jedi Talk, the very first Star Wars related podcast, which premiered all the way back in 1999 on this very day, February 7th. So, I wanted to do something special for the day, and what's more special than bringing on my dear old dad to talk about Star Wars for an hour or so?
Actually, I go by Orson now. You could refer to me that instead of Dad.
Well, that is kind of an inclination of what today's show is going to be about. So, without further ado, Mr. ID 61468.
It's an honor to serve the Empire.
So, if you haven't guessed already, Orson here has officially joined the 501st Legion as Director Krennic as of, the January 6th?
Yeah, somewhere around there, yeah. I don't remember the exact date. I should, because, it was honored to be in the 501st.
I think it was January 6th, because
so.
I had a troop that day, and I remember when I got home, you got the email. So.
Yeah, I'm, emailing you, or I'm, texting you, it was at midnight or something like that, and, all excited about it, so.
Yeah, so... What were your first thoughts when I joined the 501st? Let's go all the way back when I joined.
I'll be totally honest with you. For being a Star Wars fanatic, really, since '77, I wasn't 100% familiar with. I've heard of the 501st. I wasn't 100% familiar with what the organization did. So when you first joined, it was a steep learning curve for me to see what it was.
Right. Well, you knew that I already did the costuming thing to begin with. Never took it to such the level that I did with the 501st, but
well, I knew you were good at it, but but when you finally made that last leap to make it completely screen accurate, 100% authentic for 501st acceptance, that was when I really started to pay attention to, the details and stuff like that.
Well, I can't take too much credit for my first 501st costume, because that was Marty's costume. I don't know if you've met Marty yet.
I have not.
Marty is a fantastic guy, just through and through, but he's also one of the best costumers that I've ever met. He does a fantastic Chewbacca, which I'm sure if you follow me on any of my personal social medias, you've seen. He's got a cavalry of costumes, plus he's got an excellent R2-D2 that he does. But yeah, so can't take full credit for my first costume, but
that's all right.
But my second costume that I built for 501st standards was not even my own; it was yours, because I was the one who originally got the skeleton of your costume, if you will, for myself, that you just kind of yoinked from me.
Yeah. What's a father for?
I guess.
So yeah, what? I don't even remember why you got it, but yeah, we were up here and we were hanging out, and he brought it out, and I thought, let me try it on. And then as soon as I tried on the tunic, I was like, I got to be Director Krennic, and I became. I'm really obsessed with being Director Krennic, and that's when I started to put together the costume to get all the little pieces to make it 100% screen accurate. So,
well, you didn't put anything together. I was the one sending you the Amazon, the Etsy links. Let's pump the brakes a little bit here. Wow. Give me some credit. I kind of know what I'm doing.
Listen, if you're gonna back the bus over me, right? At least be kind. Well. But that is true. Yes, you're right. In all fairness, I did not put it together myself.
Yeah. Well, I had got that costume for Halloween at work, because they were letting us dress up, and then when I got it, it was one of those things where it was like, oh, this is too nice of a costume to get dirty. I thought that I could actually use it for an ISB officer and actually join the 501st myself, or get a second costume in the 501st.
Mm-hmm.
Which eventually, of course, I did. I ended up getting an entire second costume, and I've since pieced everything except for the only thing I'm missing so far is the hat. I'm waiting on our GML to get back to me about if I can get away without having the hat for a little bit. But nevertheless, so you walk me through your excitement, the emotions you were feeling when you got that email, the very first acceptance letter.
I was shocked. That was the first emotion I had, because I really thought that it was going to be, because the 501st is so meticulous about being accurate and, positively, presenting the characters. I thought that there would be some flaw in the costume or something that had to be corrected, and then, I would fix that, and, kind of like a back and forth email, with some pictures and stuff, and then maybe after one or two times, I would be accepted finally. I guess it kind of shocked me to hit it, to get it right on the first try. I mean, that was the first thing, was that. I'm glad, don't get me wrong, but I was shocked at that. But then after that, I'm like, this is cool. I'm in the 501st. You know what I mean? It was cool. You know what I mean? I'm Director Krennic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, and to touch on that real quick, like I had told you, like even my costume that was previously approved in the 501st, like, even I got kicked back once.
Right.
So,
well, that's why I thought I'd get kicked back too. Like I was worried, is the cape the right length? Is my tunic, properly, everything in alignment like it should be? Is my rank bar okay? You know what I mean? The code cylinders. My mind is racing. Like, is all this stuff how they want to see it? Are my boots okay? Do my pants flare out enough, for an Imperial officer? Because obviously that's important. And I was worried that some of this stuff was just not going to cut it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to, I wanted to be in the organization. So I was like, really trying to get it right. So, but I apparently did. So I got in.
Yeah. Ironically enough, that the boots were my biggest concern. Like, yeah, the jodhpurs, they don't flare, like they don't have that like crisp flare to them. But they still they're still jodhpurs that you can still tell that they're the proper style of pants. And I knew the tunic would be okay because it all the seams lined up. You don't get me wrong, I study the CRLs. Like when I'm going for a costume, I will sit there and I will stare at the CRLs for hours and hours and hours. So I knew everything cloth wise was good. My biggest concern was the boots because I didn't think they'd be tall enough.
But thankfully, I'm short enough that the boots were tall enough.
I was going to say, thankfully, we are two short Italian men, so,
Right. So, Ben Mendelsohn, who plays him, is actually, I think, 6'1". I'm 5'7", so I'm technically very much shorter than the actor portrayed him. Those boots, I think, on a much taller person would not have been up to, where they're supposed to be below the kneecap. But because I'm 5'7"-ish, maybe 5'7.5" on a good day, the boots worked out perfect. I mean, style-wise, they look like they're supposed to look.
Right.
But yeah, I understand that because of my height, they actually worked to my advantage on this particular case. Because those boots are hard to get, aren't they?
Well, the funny thing is, I was surprised we found the boots because they were what, $75, something like that. A lot of guys, like, they'll pay like $200, $300, $400 for like genuine Spanish style riding boots. So, I lucked out with finding that company. I believe it's Phantasm. If you look up riding boots on Amazon, like knee-high riding boots, I'm sure you'll be able to find them. But yeah, I was shocked that those turned out to be the right boots.
Are they actually advertised as Star Wars boots, or they advertise specifically as riding boots?
I don't know, actually.
I never looked either. That's interesting. I thought they were, for some reason, were actually geared towards a someone who is trying to do the costuming.
Yeah, they're costuming, like they're not marketed as like riding boots, like like horse riding boots. They're marketed as costume boots, but they're riding style boots. So bit of give and take there. But yeah. So actually, I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. My mind's a little bit over the place with this one, but let's go back to Steel City Con. The first time you were ever in costume in your entire life. How was that experience? I know you and I have personally talked about it, but for the benefit of our audience here, what was kind of going through your mind the day of the driving up, and then, kitting up and all that?
It was the drive there was kind of like in my mind. Wasn't so much about the costume itself as it was, what is a Comic-Con or SteelCon as it was called. What is it even like? I've never been to one, even like not in costume. So I had no idea what to expect just from an event level, what it would be like. So then we got there, of course, and, as we're driving in, of course, I see all these other people in costume. So it put my mind at ease because I really thought, oh my gosh, you and I would be the only ones there in costume. I don't know why I was thinking that. I mean, it's silly. It's a SteelCon, right? But I don't know why I was thinking, oh my gosh, and my mind was like, what if people laugh at us? What if people think our costumes are silly? You know what I mean? And so, but anyways, we park, we get dressed. Obviously, we had to get dressed in the truck, which was interesting, right?
Not my first time, for the record.
Yeah, we had to get dressed in our pickup truck, and and we were parked in a mall, which was probably a good half mile away at least,
something like that. Yeah.
So we walked to the event about a half a mile on the road, and I'm thinking, are these people going, what in the world is going on here? Because you're obviously in Kylo Ren, and it completely dresses him. I don't think you had the helmet on, but you were head to toe as Kylo Ren. But I'm walking in a white tunic and a white cape that's flowing in the wind, right?
Yep.
And I am thinking, well, what are these people thinking about me? But then as we got closer to the event, I think we didn't even make it to the door, and somebody's already asking me to take a photo.
Yeah.
And it took me aback a little bit because I'm like, why do they want a photo with me? And it occurred to me that, these are Star Wars fans, and they see Director Krennic. They don't see me. They see Director Krennic. And from there, we must have took 20 or 30 pictures, right? With people, at least.
Yeah.
And then once I got there and we got in and we started to walk around and I got a feel for the layout of the event, it was kind of like, everybody starts coming up to you and they say, oh my God, I gotta get your picture, you know what I mean? And, or they'll just walk by and say, that's a great costume. And I'm thinking, wow. You know what I mean? But of course, the best part is when we met up with the 501st. They were Star Killer base, right?
The Star Killer Garrison, yeah.
Star Killer Garrison from Pennsylvania. And, I met up with them, and they're all telling me it's a great costume. And I'm like, well, that's a compliment. I'm not even in the 501st yet. I had not submitted my paperwork to be in. And I thought that was a great compliment. And I had some of them critique it, and they said, oh, no, this is fantastic. And they even took pictures with me. So I thought, boy, if they're willing to, snap a photo with me, they're probably thinking it's pretty good. And so, and then once I got in, we were there for maybe 90 minutes. I was totally into the character. Really, I was totally into the character. I'm walking around like my head held high, cape flowing. Yeah, probably a little too much into the character because I was going to my head. But yeah, I was having a blast.
Yeah,
so.
and I know I've told this story on the Inflatable Falcon before. However, I will tell it again for the Beskar Bucket audience as well. We've so we go to Steel City Con, and for those of you that are in the 501st, you got to take your PR picture in the middle of the event. So, that way you can prove you're there, blah, blah, blah. Starkiller was taking their PR picture, and they're like, anybody in the 501st, gather up, and then, everyone else will get in afterwards. We just have to take a picture with just the 501st members. And I remember, I told you, I was like, hey, would you snap a few pictures for me? Like, I'm gonna jump in this, because, I'm in the 501st. And then we all kind of get in line, and then I don't remember who it was, but
he was a scout bike guy. He was a scout bike trooper.
Okay.
I don't know who his name is, but
right.
His costume was fantastic, though.
But he we're all standing in line, and he yells, Krennic, go, come on, get in the picture. Even though we had told everyone, like, I'm in the 501st, he's not. We're working on his costume still. We just gotta submit. And I was shocked. There were some people with some great costumes, that were there with us that weren't Legion members, but they still asked you to come be in the picture, and I thought that was fantastic.
You thought it was fantastic. I thought it was fantastic too. I mean, I was shocked and honored that they even would consider letting me be in the picture with them, because you're right, it was a PR picture for their. Was it Facebook or whatever, or website page or whatever it is?
Yeah, so the PR picture, it's just to prove that you were there. So,
is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah,
I'm a newbie.
Yeah,
I'm still learning.
Any event you go to from here on out, there's going to be a PR picture.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So Friday there'll be a PR picture?
Yeah, well, that leads me into the next thing that I wanted to talk about. You have your very first troop this Friday.
That's right. I'm nervous and excited again. Because I don't know what to expect. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I'm excited because I know this is weird. I actually enjoy donning the costume.
Mm-hmm.
I do. It's weird.
As you should.
It's weird, but I actually love doing. And please don't have me committed. All right, but I walk around sometimes and will rehearse and repeat the lines from the movie. Like, if you go on YouTube, you can actually get just like a 7-minute block of only Ben Mendelsohn's lines that he said in the movie, and I will occasionally go around and just say those lines.
As you should.
So I try to be as accurate as I can. So I try to get it in my head that I'm evil.
Are you gonna get that not quite? I think he's Australian. That not quite Australian British accent mix.
Actually, he's New Zealand.
Is it New Zealand?
Yeah.
It's tomato.
He lives there. I know. I even researched him. I know. I really.
Wow, you're really.
I know. Committed. I mean, if you're going to be committed to a character, then you should probably. I mean, I don't know the guy's birth date or anything like that, but I know some of the basics. Like, I wanted to know how tall he was, only because to see my comparison to him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where is he from? Because he obviously talks, differently. And everybody. Let's be honest. Apparently, every imperial officer comes from Britain.
Mm-hmm.
They all have a He does not.
Right,
because he's New Zealand, but he tries to it doesn't always work, but he subdues that Australian, because New Zealand and Australian states share that accent. He tries to subdue it, but sometimes it almost comes across like he's got a lisp or something.
Yeah,
in his speech.
Well, he does have a lisp.
So, a natural lisp?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Well, see, I've just learned something new. I didn't realize. I thought it was because he's trying to subdue his accent.
No, Ben Mendelsohn genuinely has a lisp.
Oh. Well, so I just, I watch his speech patterns, and I watch what he's saying and try to, get inside his head as an actor to see how he's doing the part, so that when I represent the 501st as him, you know what I mean? I try to be accurate. I actually, one of my favorite things is when they did, when Rogue One came out, and I can't think, what was the London show? There's a
Star Wars
Captain
Celebration.
Phasma is a Star Wars Celebration, and he's the only one who came in costume with the Death Troopers. His mannerisms as he walked in, and he didn't say a word. He just walked in and they introduced him and everything like that. I watched that stuff just to see his mannerisms, how he walks, how he conducts himself. So,
I didn't realize you would put this much thought into it.
I know, right? Who would have known? But but going back to the event on Friday, I am excited to be there, but I'm also nervous because I don't know what the event is, and I'm the kind of person that likes, a little bit of heads up on something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm kind of keeping you in the dark just a little bit. That way, you still get that kind of shock and awe.
Is that what it is?
Troop. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because if you think about it, my first troop back in September, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know anybody.
I don't remember what was your first troop.
My first troop was a casino night for special needs kids. So, and ironically enough, it was 2 minutes down the road from where I work. So,
really,
yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so like I didn't know anybody. At least you'll have the benefit of having me there.
Oh, you mean you didn't know any other members of the pod? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know a single person that was at that event whatsoever. So, but when I got there and I got in the costume and I saw everyone else was in costume, it put my anxiety at ease because it's one of those things. It's like, okay, these are my people.
So how does the people you're there with react to you? That's what I'm most interested in. Like, what is the interaction with? You're obviously going to an event. What is the interaction with the people like? Do they expect you to be like in character the entire time, or do they ever just talk to you as a person and just say, "Hey, how's it going?"
It depends on the event. So I think the only type of event, there's only two types of events that I haven't necessarily done yet. Of like the main general events, and that would be the hospital trip and a parade. Parade / 5K. I think the two kind of go hand in hand. But like, say library events, those are usually, unless they're promoted. It's some people will come up and talk to you. Some people will be like, "Oh, can I just get a quick picture?" Blah blah blah. But like the sporting events, that are actually official Lucasfilm events, and they're advertised as Star Wars night. People are expecting to see you. But as far as like staying in character, the 501st mantra is bad guys doing good. So, you don't need to be a bad guy all the time. Do you understand what I'm saying? But yeah, so like, I mean, when I'm in Kylo Ren, like I'll kneel down, like I'll hand kids my lightsaber, I'll give them a fist bump. I've had kids that have been petrified to see me.
Really?
Well, I'm dressed head to toe in all black with a red lightsaber. If you're a kid and you have any understanding of Star Wars, especially the 3, 4, 5-year-olds, I mean, that's a bad guy, and those are the really, really bad guys.
What about like, obviously there've been other Imperial officers there.
Mm-hmm.
How do they react to people where you can see their face, like you would for me? I mean, they're not afraid of that, are they?
No,
because you just look like you're in a uniform.
Truthfully, and again, like I'm still a newbie myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've only been in for I think 8 months now officially. But like, it's the masked characters in all black. So your TIE pilots, your Shadow Troopers, your Kylo Ren, your Darth Revan, your Darth Vader, those kind of characters don't always tend to go over the best. But like, I'll pop my helmet off real quick and be like, "Hey, I'm just a regular old person under here." So that kind of.
Well, so is Adam Driver. That still doesn't make him any less evil.
Yeah, good point. But yeah, so I wouldn't go in with. Don't go in with any expectations. Just let yourself be surprised. Because I don't really know what to expect from this event either. Everyone tells me these are some of the best events. For context, it's a night to shine, which I don't really understand what that means, but it's supposed to be like a prom night experience. But this is not the first time that the Ohio Garrison has done this. So
interesting.
Don't go in with any expectations, really. I mean, for my first 2 troops, it was I just went in like, okay, I'm gonna be Kylo Ren. I'm gonna be with other super high quality Star Wars characters, and we're just gonna kind of follow everyone's lead and see where it goes.
I am going in with a haircut. That helps. Got to get my hair cut like Director Krennic's getting a little long.
Yeah,
he likes to keep it high and tight.
High and tight,
just like the Imperial Navy.
Yeah. So let's just scale of 1 to 10. How excited are you for Friday?
Probably an 8 or 9. I mean, I'm pretty excited about it. That last bump is the nervousness, wanting to back it down a little bit because you don't know what to expect. So
right.
It's 8 to 2. It's 8 excited, 2 nervous. How's that?
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have me there. Obviously, you're gonna have David, who he's already reached out to. He's our CO. And I think I know most of the people that are going to be at this one. So you're gonna be around other people in costume. I don't remember exactly what the lineup is, but I think David's finally bringing out his TK finally.
I'm gonna be jealous then.
Oh well, I think we've got 2 or 3 TKs, but yeah, you're
that's next.
I know, but again, you're not going to be the only one in costume. It's not.
Well,
just
yeah, no,
be
I'm
me
not
and
worried
you.
about the only one in costume this time, like I was for SteelCon.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more of like I mean, this is when I was at SteelCon, I was just there. Mm-hmm. This is a real 501st event. When you're representing an organization, you don't want to be an embarrassment to the 501st.
Right.
I want to be an asset. You know what I mean? And I don't know how to conduct myself as they would expect it to be.
Right.
I will always be professional, but like I don't know how they want what the expectations are at an event. So I'm really going to be I'm not going to lie to you. I probably will be somewhat reserved Friday night, watching how other people conduct themselves.
Yeah. And
then maybe the next time, when I have some sense of what to do, maybe I'll come out of my shell a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going to be a wallflower, but I'll probably be a little bit more reserved than you would expect as you've come to know me as your dad. So,
yeah, and that's totally. I mean, it's to be expected. I was for my first event. I wasn't really talkative. I didn't know anybody. Thankfully, I had Danielle, who is now one of my better friends in the Legion, and just overall, they really helped me, break out of my shell and. Now I've got this small group of friends that I can kind of lean on to, help guide me through. And, obviously I can pass that information on to you, but I'm sure, you're going to love David. You're going to love Brian, our CO and our squad lead. So you're going to have plenty of people to help you. I think that's the biggest thing that goes unsaid with the 501st, maybe not specifically with the Ohio Garrison. But, everyone's there for the same reason. We all love Star Wars. We all want to dress up as these characters and put a smile on people's faces. That's what we're there for. So everyone wants to help everyone else succeed in the group. So
cool. Well, we'll find out. 5 short days.
But so what else? What is next for you? What once you get past the approval, your first troop, what do you want to see afterwards? Do you have anything other than a TK in mind, or
no? I've always wanted to do the TK armor. I've always wanted to do the storm. I mean, that goes back to being a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
I have always been drawn to the TK armor. Specifically, and I know this drives you nuts, it's the Death Star armor too. That shiny white, like the brand new, look like they're just out of the Stormtrooper Academy armor.
Mm-hmm.
Not the guys that are grungy, it's a little scratched.
Mm-hmm.
I want the shiny, pretty white. You know what I mean? Brand new armor looking TK stuff. So probably much more like you would see on the original Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, because I realized there's variations in the eyes because they weren't symmetrical, right? In A New Hope and stuff. I mean, there's some variations. Well, you will have to walk me through to get the approval, but
mm-hmm.
that's probably next is TK armor. So I've already started to research the microphone to speak as the Stormtrooper sound, so where it changes your voice, the cooling system, because I'd like to go to parade as a TK armor. You know what I mean? And do it that and something like that. I'm gonna try to have it done by summer.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's and get approved, and if I can, then if there's some parade or something, I actually wouldn't mind being in the TK armor for a parade.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience, whatever temperature it is outside, add or subtract about 10 degrees, and that's what it feels like to be in the TK armor. If it's freezing, it's a wind tunnel. If it's scorching hot, it's a sauna.
Even with the cooling system in the helmet.
In the helmet, yeah. I mean, your head's gonna be fine, but the rest of your body is gonna be just miserable.
Yeah, you know what? Think about what I wore for work. I had body armor on, and I wore long pants and all that t-shirts and everything, and boots, even if it was 90 degrees outside. Right. So I am no stranger to heat with wearing a lot of stuff. So it's probably not going to affect me as much as some other people would. That's fair. The only thing I'm worried about is, as long as and here's the thing, I know it sounds silly, if my head stays cool, sometimes it just naturally cools me. So, but we'll see. I will work around it and cross that bridge when we get to it, as they say. But
yeah, well,
that's my goal from now on, is to start working on. I'm gonna probably start getting the boots. I'm gonna start getting, you need the full, black Under Armour. Start buying these little pieces. Does the neck thing come with the plates, or is that a separate piece?
That's a separate piece.
So I'll probably get that. I'll probably start getting some of the other stuff you need. And then, the little thing, I know the gloves are separate too, aren't they?
Yep.
Which I thought that was odd. Why wouldn't that come in a kit? But, different size hands. Right?
The only things you'll get in a kit
is the outer armor. Right?
It's any of the white armor.
Yeah.
That's it. So you need... There's a lot that goes into a stormtrooper that a lot of people don't understand.
And I gotta get a blaster because I actually want the blaster. Do they make ones that actually make the sound?
I'm sure someone does in the Etsy sphere or on the
forums.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I want the blaster that makes the sound.
Yeah,
when you fire it.
Well, the advice I will give you is keep an eye on the forums on the. Be that the Ohio Garrison forums, the 1st Imperial Stormtrooper Detachment, and then just the General Legion forums. There's classified sections on...
Well, that's why I have you to keep an eye on it for me.
Well,
I'm not computer savvy, folks. You told me, I'm totally honest with you. I mean, I'm a lot older than... I'll put it this way. You know what? Computers to me, when I first started, you know what they were? Atari was crazy advanced. Right? That's how old I am. Right. So I'm not as tech savvy as I could be. I can, put things together. You know what I mean? But I'm not tech. That's why I have you. I'm not opposed to buying an armor kit that was already assembled, where I just have to put the rest of the pieces together. Especially when it had been pre-approved. Like your Kylo was, where maybe I just need to tweak a few things.
Yeah, the biggest thing with buying a pre-built costume is fit and finish. That's anyone in the 501st will tell you. It doesn't matter. If you bought it right off the screen, if it doesn't fit and it's not finished,
you're not getting approved.
You're not getting approved.
Right. So that's why I got you to look.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad. Yeah. But yeah, there is one costume that obviously, like, I'm working on my officer right now, which ironically enough, I thought it was so funny, looking at the rank bars for the Imperial Security Bureau / Advanced Weapons Development Program. The 6 red or blue tiles on the rank bar is Deputy Director. So naturally, my favorite color is red. And you're already Director Krennic, so why can't I be Deputy Director Krennic?
It is fitting.
So, that obviously...
So, wait a minute. 6, it could be 6 red or 6 blue? Is Deputy Director? Well, why would it be one color? Why wouldn't it be one color or the other?
I don't know. Ask George Lucas.
I know. I'm not going to lie.
Obviously he's listening to this right now.
I'm sure he is, and I want to know why he made the rank system so complicated, because I've actually tried to look at it, sit down, read the rank system to try to, there's flow charts, and you go down, and here's Imperial Navy, and you go across, but this can also be a director for the ISB, and I'm like, who and what was he think? Was he, having a few beers when he did this? Because it's complicated, right? And certain ranks are the same bar, even though they're not even closely related. Like, what was the guy's? I can't think of his name now. From Andor, he was Major something. He was the guy who was in charge of that little ISB round table.
Yeah, I forget his name.
But
The guy
his
from Game of
rank
Thrones.
bar is actually a captain or something in the Imperial Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't realize you could take one rank bar and it slides over into ISB. They can just take whatever rank bar they want or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. It'll drive you nuts if you try to sit there and understand it.
Well, I mean, it's the Grand Moff Tarkin and Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Tarkin was he was the Imperial Army, and Thrawn was in the Navy. Same rank bar, different positions. So you had the I think it was five blue, 3 red, 2 yellow.
No, it's 6.
Is it 6?
6, 3, and 3. I've actually looked at it.
But
Wait, the top is blue, 6 blue, 3 red, 3 gold.
Yeah,
is Tarkin.
Yeah, and the same for Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Right,
but
so I know it's interesting. Maybe they should have picked more colors. Like maybe the army should have had green tiles or something. You know what I mean? Like, why didn't Lucas pick more colors? You could intermix them. In the 12, you definitely could. Everybody could have had their own rank and color combination. Like, you could look at it and go, "Oh yeah, that's a lieutenant in the army." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Lucas liked red and blue.
Apparently.
Unless you were Samuel L. Jackson. Which, by the way, off topic, but one of my favorite clips from behind the scenes of Star Wars is, are there any purple lightsabers? Oh, there could be. All right. But no, the reason I was saying that is, I want to do the ISB officers, because I think that's a cool costume to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But the other costume that I need to convince you, because I'm also working on convincing Mike and Ken.
All right, what is it?
Which I know Mike's on board. I don't know about Ken, but the Narkina 5 prisoner outfit. The white jumpsuits with the orange stripes. Trust me, I've already looked into it.
What?
They're working on the CRLs. I don't know if it's going to be Rebel Legion or if it's going to be 501st, which I would assume Rebel Legion.
That would be awkward for me to be in a prisoner costume.
Well, but that. I think after my officer is done and approved, I think I'm gonna work on doing some research into doing the Narkina 5 prisoner, because I absolutely. Well, okay, so Star Wars Celebration, which the next time it's in the States, we're going. I don't care what I have to do. I'm at least going. I'll leave you behind if I have to.
Okay.
But
where is it at?
Well, this year it's in London. I think next year it'll be back. So what they usually do is they do West Coast, out of the States, East Coast, and then more central. So like they did Orlando, Chicago, Anaheim, London. That was the last 4 celebrations.
So next year I'll be in Orlando?
Theoretically.
Well, I would go. Amtrak has a direct line.
Yeah, I would kind of hope it was in Chicago.
I might wear my outfit on the Amtrak train.
That would be a long train ride.
You think?
Anyway, but so every year they have, for the Rebel Legion members that have an approved Wilro Hood costume, they have a running of the hoods.
I don't even know what that is.
You know what Wilro Hood is?
Enlighten me.
He was on Cloud City. Okay, first off, this one hurts. Wilro Hood is one of the most infamous characters in all of Star Wars.
I probably know who it is. It's just the name isn't ringing a bell.
He's the guy.
Cloud
City. He's dressed in the orange jumpsuit, and he's the one carrying the Camtono, the ice cream maker. Come on.
Why am I drawing blank here? I've seen.
Come on, man.
I've seen it. Empire Strikes Back. 500 times. Why am I drawing a blank?
You seriously don't? You don't remember the guy?
I know the ice cream. Yeah, the ice cream maker. It's an inside joke because nobody realized it was just an ice cream maker.
Right, and then they made it into something. They made it into a little locking safe.
Right, and not to get I'll have to look at it, Google it, because it is. I know, I'm embarrassed. Am I getting kicked out of the 501st now?
Oh, you might. Thank God you're not.
I'm gonna be sanctioned by the organization.
You're gonna have charges brought up against you.
Probably.
Hell, I might bring charges up against you for that one. Fake fan.
I think it's clearly shown my inadequacies as a military director.
Fake fan. Anyway, but yeah, so they do a running of the hoods. Where everyone dressed in an approved. They've cracked down on it. Like, you got to be an approved member to be in the running of the hoods.
Mm-hmm.
But the people who have an approved Wool Row hood costume, they will go with their Camtonos and they will run through the floors of Celebration. They're doing the same thing now.
Actual running?
Yes. Maybe a light jog. Either way.
Is there a walking version? I could do walking. I got a bad knee.
Anyway.
The Imperial Security Board's been rough on me.
Do you not have any Imperial medical insurance?
Yeah.
The First Order has impeccable insurance. Didn't you know?
I did not know that.
You can thank yours truly for talking to Snoke about that one. But, that's a topic for another time.
Yeah.
Anyway, but they're trying to do the same thing for the Narkina 5 prisoners.
Really?
They're running of the prisoners. One way out.
Okay. One way out. You know what I was thinking while you've been saying this whole time, and I cannot remember. What was the thing they said?
I'm glad that you were paying attention to what I was saying.
On something.
On program.
On program. I could not remember that.
Thank you for paying attention to what I've been saying for the last 10 minutes. I have been
paying attention. You're running with the running of the ice cream maker.
I see it in your forehead right now. Like, I can see into your brain. It's literally just a fucking symbol monkey going on up there while I'm talking.
That's awkward, but it's not a symbol monkey. Anyways, so running of the prisoners, one way out. I got all that, and they want to have that at the Star Wars celebration. I was paying attention. I just couldn't remember when they said what it was on program. That's what it was.
Oh my god. So yeah, that's the next costume that I want us to do. I want us to do the Narkina 5. I'm still curious as to see which.
Why is it called the Narkina 5? Or is that because that was the planet?
That was the planet.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it was the Narkina 5 prison complex.
Okay.
So.
I think Emperor Palpatine is calling me. Hold on one sec. Oh, yes. I've got a meeting with him later. Oh, so busy. So many things to attend to.
Yeah, is everything okay on the Imperial front?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just a great many things to attend to.
Wow. That was low-hanging fruit.
What? I missed the fruit. What was it? You said, is everything all right in the Imperial front?
Yeah, and you said a great many things to attend to. That was low-hanging fruit.
Oh, because that's a line from the movie.
Wow. Right over your head.
Right over my head, man. Wow. What can I say?
But yeah, so I'm there's not a whole lot of convincing for Mike, but can I...
It's going to take more than that for me. I don't know.
What?
I don't know if I want to do the Narkina 5
It's
prisoner
such
thing.
A cool costume,
Is it, though? They're prisoners. They don't have shoes on. Are we wearing shoes?
They were falsely imprisoned.
Are we wearing shoes?
They make...
I'm not walking around in a bed barefoot.
I swear to God, they make fake feet.
Okay, I mean,
I
really,
swear to God, they literally, you wear them like shoes, and
you're
like
not
feet.
Selling this that good so far.
Why not?
We're getting farther away, not closer.
I beg to differ. I'll show you afterwards.
I don't know if I'm wearing fake feet.
Why?
Because it's awkward.
The other example on the forums that I saw is getting the flats. The women's shoes flats. They'll put insoles on top of them that are invisible, so it's still barefoot, but you're not like touching the floor with your feet.
I've never seen those, but I mean, I don't shop
do you know what
for
insoles
women's
are?
Clothing that often. But
do you know what insoles are?
Yeah.
Can you imagine one that's just clear? That's all.
Yeah,
it is.
But I've never seen one.
So that way you don't see it on the flats.
No, I better get a mani petty then if we're gonna do that, right?
Oy vey.
Oy vey is right. I'm not sure about this prisoner thing going on here. I'll have to think about that. So
just one way out.
So
one way out.
I do like the shore trooper. Does that count?
I mean, talk to Brian. Brian's got a really nice shore trooper.
When we ran into that shore trooper at SteelCon, that costume was also very impressive.
I can't let this go on any further. It's Steel City Con, man.
What?
It's always been Steel City Con.
What am I saying?
Steel Con.
Yeah. Tomato.
Oh, it drives me nuts. Okay. You are the one that gave
City
me.
Con.
You are the one that gave me OCD.
Look, it bugs me that it's in Pittsburgh. I'm working
It's not
through
even.
that.
It's
a suburb.
I agree with what you're saying.
They're probably still Steelers
everything
fans.
you're saying is 100% true, and I agree with you. But it's not in Pittsburgh.
It's a suburb.
Eh,
Close enough. We had to go through Pittsburgh to get there.
I know. It's for any of our Pennsylvania listeners, including you, Mike. I'm sorry you live in a shithole state. But
yeah. So we even have Cleveland Browns orange on the wall. That's how much fans we are. Right.
Yeah. For those of you that haven't already picked up on that, we're in Ohio, and Michigan and Pennsylvania are the natural born enemies of anyone from Ohio. So
Cleveland Browns and then Buckeyes. Yep. What can I say?
We don't care about college football.
I don't. I'm sorry. I try to care about the Buckeyes.
You know nobody listening to this cares at all about sports. I would bet you $100.
I would bet you. I would not take that bet because you would win. But I know we're the exception to the rule that we're Browns fans too. But
sports fans in general.
Yeah, so I know that's very unusual.
I know Star Wars, sports, and cars. It's an odd mix when you think about it.
It really is. You're right. But
hey, if you want to hear more about cars and sometimes sports, when I can get my quick aside in, go check out the Inflatable Falcon, inflatablefalcon.com, or on any streaming platform. We are live Wednesdays somewhere in the 8 o'clock hour. We've been kind of loose with the rules here, but I will let Mike and Ken and me from the past, I think that's what I said before. Yeah, past me. Explain more about that here.
Hey guys, this is Mike Hinton here, part of the Inflatable Falcon podcast, and we're also part of the Unifying Fandom Network of podcasts. And I'm here with my friends, and we talk all things Star Wars.
Yeah, my name is John. I'm one of the co-hosts. We talk things from 3D printing to all the costuming groups and going to conventions in our costumes.
Yeah, and this is Ken, one of the other co-hosts of the Inflatable Falcon. And when I'm not on the forces behind Star Wars, I'm talking with John and Mike about costuming, making food, fixing our cars, and anything else related to the Star Wars universe.
So if you check us out, Wednesdays again, 8:30, we record live. And back to your show.
For those listening live, I'm sorry. That's not going to make a whole lot of sense. However, now that I got my quick little ad in for our show,
okay.
I'm curious.
Oh boy.
And I know we've kind of fallen off the beaten path here of what this was initially supposed to be about.
Yep.
Why did you decide to join the 501st? I just flat out, why?
I feel like they're my lost brethren. I mean, really. I've been a Star Wars fan since '77, right? Mm-hmm. I saw A New Hope in the theaters as a child, so obviously that gives away my age.
Really dating yourself there,
I'm dating myself, so I've always, even when Star Wars fell out of, popularity, and by 85, Star Wars had fallen out of popularity, and it didn't come back for 10 years until the 90s, when they kind of started to hint there'd be another trilogy, and then by 97ish it started to creep back in. But I had as soon as they were available on VHS, I had them, and I still watched them over and over again. So to answer your question is to go with to finally get into an organization that is people just like me, is why I wanted to be in the 501st, because these they love Star Wars as much as I do, where you don't necessarily find that just randomly talking to people or friends, it's like specifically going somewhere and say, everybody loves Star Wars as much as you do. Versus, let's be honest, sometimes you try to talk Star Wars with people. I have actually met people who have never seen the movies. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You live under a rock? Even if you didn't like Star Wars, they're on so much on television or available on Disney Plus and all these other, sources. You would think somewhere along the line they produce so much content You know what I mean? Or it's played so much that you would seen something somewhere. And I get, well, that's the one with the Enterprise, right?
Mhm.
I'm like, no, that's Star Trek.
How does it make you feel?
You know what I mean? So again, we're going full circle. To answer your question is, it's my lost brethren, the people that I've always hoped were out there that I can finally actually talk to and relate to, without like. Sometimes you feel weird. I mean, maybe that's just me, but sometimes when you start talking, people like call you a geek or a nerd or wait, Star Wars. That's weird. And I've got that before. You know what I mean?
I hate to break it to you, but in 2023, it's not an insult anymore.
Well, it was when I was a child, and it shouldn't have been, but it was. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with being a geek or a nerd. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when I was young, it was an insult. It was, someone trying to put you down, and it shouldn't have been. But I'm glad that it's not anymore, because I am. I'm a nerd and a geek, and I'm proud of it now.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, I wear it literally on my sleeves every single day.
Yes, you do.
So, but I quickly back to what you said, that some people have never seen Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
How does it make you feel that some people's knowledge of Star Wars starts and ends with Grogu, Baby Yoda?
That's the only thing they know?
I've met people who are like, yeah, I know Baby Yoda.
I mean, I guess you got to start somewhere. I mean, but that is just... I guess it's Baby Yoda. Who doesn't like?
They've never hold on, but I've met people who've never seen The Mandalorian, but they know who Baby Yoda is.
Baby Yoda is, yes. I understand. I've met some people like that myself.
Granted, I mean, when you merchandise the hell out of it,
you're right. It's everywhere. Hell,
yeah.
I just bought you waffles with Baby Yoda,
but you need to get more. I ate the last one yesterday.
That. Make a note, folks. Grocery store trip tomorrow.
Yeah. Eggo's has Galactic Homestyle Mandalorian Season 3 themed waffles. They are no different than any of their other products. However, they taste better because they're Star Wars. And I think that's the moral of the story. You add Star Wars to anything and it's always better.
And cost more.
Right. I think they were another $1 or so.
Lucas was not dumb about marketing. You got to give him credit for that. He was a genius.
Look, if you have the foresight to retain all international merchandising rights...
you're a genius.
You're doing something right.
And to the likeness of the characters. Because, Carrie Fisher famously made that joke for years that she couldn't even take a selfie of herself because technically George Lucas owned it.
Yeah.
I think that was one. I mean, it's funny, but it's genius on his part.
Oh, God. What was the other half of that joke? It was she couldn't even look in the mirror without writing Lucas a royalties check.
Yes, that's what it was. But there's some truth to that, which is crazy, right? So,
well, now our Lord and Savior Mickey Mouse owns all of it. So
that's very true.
But yeah, look, I'm excited for Friday. I know we've kind of bounced back and forth with, on topic here. However, I'm a little hurt that your reasoning to join the 501st wasn't because your son invited you to join him and rule the galaxy as father and son.
Okay, I think that's my line, for starters.
Whatever.
Okay.
Either way, you could say that I redeemed you, almost. Like Luke did to Vader on the Death Star.
Okay. You redeemed me, okay.
I brought you back to the ways of the Force.
I mean, obviously, being in the organization with you allows us to go hang out and do what we love together. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? I didn't know that was the answer you were looking for, but obviously I'm very excited that's going to be part of
the term is fishing. I was fishing
You're
for
fishing.
that answer.
And I'm not a fisherman, so I didn't catch the hook.
In that instance, you would be the fish.
And I didn't get the hook, did I?
No, you did not.
Nope.
But I don't know did you listen to my year in review episode? I don't know if you caught that one.
I'm currently listening to your episode. I got like 2 minutes left where you did the AI. Their AI wrote the episode and you're just reading it or something. What was that episode? That's the one I'm currently listening to.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
That's not even out.
Oh, it's not. Well, how did I get a copy? I saw it. It was on.
Or you know what? I think it's still. It is still on YouTube. That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot to take that down. Oops.
Oops. Well, it was a good episode because it popped up on my suggested list.
God, I almost had you. I almost had you in a lie, but then damn.
What?
I thought you were just pumping me up.
No, it's on
pretending
YouTube.
like you actually listened to what I put out there.
It was about episode 3.
I know.
Wow.
I almost caught you in a lie, but in reality,
supporting his son, and you.
Look, you're a busy man.
I am a busy man, but when I'm driving, the best thing to do is to listen to the podcast while I'm driving.
Anyway, did you listen to my urine review?
I have not gotten to that one yet.
Okay, well,
see, no lies there.
The last, I don't know, I want to say the last 10 minutes or so. I was talking about doing Steel City Con with you, and one of the biggest points that I harped on in that episode, and if you haven't listened to it, please go check out my urine review. I'm actually very proud of that episode because I was able to talk to myself for almost an hour.
Oh boy.
But the biggest point I harped on with that was, I always thought that costuming was this barrier that I would never break with you. I never thought I'd be able to convince you to, go out with me and dress in costume. Because it never seemed like that was something you were interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was very shocking to me when you put on that Krennic costume for the first time, while we were just standing out in the hallway. I was like, okay, maybe this isn't such a pipe dream after all. Because we do a lot together.
I didn't think I would ever want to do it either, because of being nervous about being in costume in public. It's one thing to do it privately, but because not everybody's a Star Wars fan, I was worried that they would be laughing at me like, look at this. Maybe we should, we should call the EMS because he's clearly lost it.
Right. But we do a lot together. I have never been shy to admit that I'm essentially a carbon copy of you. You have imprinted on me a lot throughout my childhood and now into my adult years. We've got season tickets for the Browns that we do every year. We talk about cars, we talk about Star Wars, but in my 23, almost 24 years now, the one thing that I've never gotten you to do is costuming. So being at Steel City Con with you and, seeing you with a smile on your face the entire time in costume, that was a big moment for me. And I obviously, yes, it was a big moment for you too. However, I've been doing this for years. I've been doing, my first convention was, 6 years ago now.
Has it been that long? When did you do The Mandalorian?
The Mandalorian debuted at Steel City Con 21, June of 21.
That was your first one that was complete, right? First complete costume you ever did?
Yeah.
Okay.
However, I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but my very first convention was Wizard World Cleveland 2017.
Okay.
Do you know what costume I wore that day?
Oh, boy. What?
Just take a guess.
Was it Star Wars?
It was Star Wars.
I don't know, because I never even knew you had any back that far.
They were really bad, quickly thrown together costumes. Because I wasn't taking it seriously. I was still in high school when I went.
Okay, what was it?
It was Director Krennic.
No, it wasn't.
I swear to God, I still have the pictures.
Well, how did you even... Did you have a cape?
I bought a bed sheet that I had glued together. It was a top sheet.
I do not remember any of that. That's crazy. You'll have to show me the pictures sometime. I don't remember that.
I find it it's like poetry. It rhymes.
It's poetry, yep.
That both of our first conventions, we went as Director Krennic.
I'm kidding. Okay, I didn't know that. That's cool.
But yeah, so it's a little ironic, but it's a very big moment for me because, like I said, I've been doing this for 6 years now. It's actually almost in a month it'll be 6 years that I've been hitting the convention circuit and going in costume. And slowly over time I've been taking it more seriously. Obviously, up until now, where I'm going for the most authentic I can, the most screen accurate, and to break that barrier and to do it with you as opposed to you just being a bystander and an observer. a spectator,
Mm-hmm.
I got a little emotional when I think about it.
Oh,
So, because this is my hobby. This is my favorite thing to do in my free time. Is to put costumes together, to see okay, well, how can I do this the most cost effective, but also time effective, but maintaining that quality, that screen accuracy. It's almost like a puzzle to me. Okay, well, because Mike and I have this saying, you can only have two of these three things. You can either have it be cheap, you can have it quick, or you can have quality.
mm-hmm.
So, but you can only ever have two. So if you want it quick and you want it quality, it's going to cost a lot. But if you want it quick and cost effective, it's not going to have the same quality. You see what I'm getting at here? It's like a really messed up game of rock, paper, scissors.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's trying to figure out the balance of the three. Honestly, I've told you before, you're director Krennic. You were my guinea pig to see what the most cost-effective way to put an officer together was. And, without spending $200-300 on boots, without spending $200 on a tunic.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm very fulfilled when I'm able to get a costume put together that looks right, that fits right, that has the general vibe, if you will. So, and like I said, to bring you into this, to do it with you, it's very fulfilling for me, because that's just one more thing that you and I get to do together now.
I'm thinking how it'll be cool be when I get my TK armor.
Yeah, and then
you could go as an ISB officer, and I'll just follow you around.
Exactly. The thing with TKs are, I believe the TK is the most common costume in the 501st.
What? Because well, hell, there were a million TK guys lost their lives on the first Death Star. Wasn't that the fictional number or something like that? It was like a million. Million.
But anyway, TKs always look better together. But you need that one other costume to really make it look like a crowd. Because if you just get a bunch of stormtroopers together, yeah, you get a bunch of stormtroopers. But if you got someone leading the stormtroopers, then it's cool.
Have you ever had anybody be a Death Trooper?
I haven't seen anybody in person, but I know people that do Death Troopers.
Did they? Is there anybody that's short that's never done one? Because they were 6'5" in the movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their minimum height or something.
Yeah.
So do they kind of require you to be that tall, or can anybody be it?
Anybody can do it.
Okay.
The thing with the 501st is you could be a 6'8" Jawa, and you can be a 5'4" Vader. There is no limitations as long as the costume fits you properly,
mm-hmm.
and it's screen accurate. Those are the bare minimum requirements. Is it looks right and it fits right. So, you don't have to be 6'3", 6'4" to be Vader.
Just have a good tailor.
Exactly. As long as it looks proportional to your build.
Yep.
So they don't discriminate in the 501st, which I think that's fantastic. They don't discriminate based on anything other than the costume itself. Let me just be clear.
Right.
You're not getting in with cardboard and Scotch tape.
Yeah. What if that's screen accurate though?
It's not. I can tell you for 100% that it's not.
Lucas had a little bit bigger budget than that.
Just a touch. I think he milked 21st Century Fox or 20th Century Fox for as much as
has it ever been disclosed how did he make the original TK armor?
That's a question for Ken.
I always wondered that. I mean, I don't know why I've never even thought to research. Maybe I will because I'll want to know, just like I did with Krennic. I want the background of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so much like how he designed it because his everything was a kind of work in progress for Lucas. If you ever watched, but physically, how did he make it? I mean, aren't they made in vacuum molds now?
That's how they made them originally.
Did they make them vacuum mold? That's how they did the original suits.
Yeah, they had a sculptor in England.
Do vacuum molds?
Yeah, because it was based on the Ralph McQuarrie concept art.
Were all the actors essentially the same size, so they had to make one set?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it didn't fit some guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell that. So there are two different A New Hope CRLs for that very reason.
Yeah, I know. I've seen them.
So.
I have done a smidge of research. I'm working on it.
Just a touch.
It's tiny, but it's there. So that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I always. Did they ever explain why the eyes aren't symmetrical?
Because they were hand sculpted
by that guy.
Yeah.
But nobody ever thought to look at it and go, hey, maybe you should redo that because they're not symmetrical.
I don't think that was in the budget to completely redesign the helmet.
I always, speaking of TK, I know we're getting off subject but the famous scene where they're in the Death Star, C-3PO and R2 have been left behind, right, while they go off to rescue Princess Leia. And the door didn't open enough and the stormtrooper whacks his head. I always wondered if that guy realized that he would become an iconic scene for the rest of his life because he had a blooper. I look for that every single time I watch the movie because I think that's the coolest scene ever. He whacks his head and he just kind of does this for a second. You know what I mean? And they just kept filming.
Well, and
who would have thought that would be like one of the best bloopers ever?
And you also, you got to think, how many shots did they get? And they left that one in.
I know, right?
Then in the special editions in '97, Lucas went back and added the sound effect, the clunk, and
he did. I didn't realize that.
How have you never noticed?
Because I've only ever seen the special effects and I've heard the clunk. I guess I never realized that it was not in the original movie.
Yeah. And
the other thing I look for too, which is totally minor, don't even know why, but in Luke's armor, but he's not wearing the helmet. There's one scene where he's got the shoulder pad, then he doesn't have the shoulder pad, and then he has the shoulder pad again, where they're in the detention block as they're firing down the hall, right before they go into the trash compactor chute. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. Is one scene, he's standing there, and he's firing down, and then they're speaking. And if you notice in one scene, as he's firing, the pad is there, and then they go to Han, who speaks, and then they go back to him. It's gone, and they go back to Han or maybe Leia, and they go back. It's back again. So obviously the scene isn't continuous. Like it seems like it should be a continuous scene because it's really just about 4 or 5 lines of dialogue. You'd think that one was said theirs, he says his, she says hers. Back to Luke.
Well, I'm sure they got multiple takes and they just used the best line delivery from each of them.
I know, but I know it's weird, but nobody caught that. The thing, obviously, fanatics like us see it.
Right. Speaking of fanatics, if you're going to be in the 501st and you're going to chat about costumes, I think I should start teaching you a bit of the terminology. It's called a shoulder bell. Is the proper term. Why? Don't ask me. I have no idea.
Shoulder bell.
It is called a shoulder bell.
I guess I don't even want to know what the lower sections are. Some weird names.
The crotch plate.
The crotch plate, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's called the crotch plate?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the butt plate called?
The butt plate.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awkward now.
Yeah. Then you got your kidney armor. Then you got the back, the chest, the ab plate.
You ever wonder how they go to the bathroom? Like, do they have to take the whole thing off, or can they just take those plates off?
Do you want the real answer?
What?
Speaking from experience, yes, you have to take everything off.
No, what's the
in
canon
universe?
In the Star Wars canon?
Yeah, they probably still take everything off. If I had to venture a guess.
I mean, obviously the Death Star had restrooms,
right?
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the vac tube, as we found out, is what it's called in The Mandalorian.
Vac tube, yep. Well, you know where that's from, though, right? That's actually an actual thing from the Apollo missions when we went to the moon. Remember the constellation Orion?
Sure. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Are you?
That's a true story. That's what the astronauts would call when they did They would dump the urine out of the command modules into space. So that actually there is pee right now floating through space from the astronauts.
Yeah. Back from the
60s. It will never go anywhere. It'll just be there's pee. It's not like circling the Earth. It's literally just out in space floating.
There's 60-year-old piss.
60-year-old piss, right? So, anyways, yeah, they would call it the Constellation Urine because it was actually an overboard urine dump. Because they didn't, if you, and this is getting off topic again. I'm sorry,
It's
folks,
still space.
but you know because of the way they weren't under power going to the moon. They blasted the rockets, shut them off, and just let velocity because there's no gravity or air to slow them down. They could go at 3,000 miles per hour with no rockets or anything.
Yeah.
Right. Well, even just dumping, even if just weight distribution one way or another could actually put them off course. So they had to be very careful about urine and poop. They had to dispose of it so that it didn't take them off course.
Right.
So they had little nozzles and it sprayed back so that it wouldn't change the trajectory of the command module and the lunar module. Yeah, I know. I love documentaries on NASA too, obviously, because the real actual people have been in space.
God, I cannot wait to get you and Ken in a room together.
You know what I think is terrible, a travesty? Why have no Star Wars characters been to space, but they've sent Captain Kirk
And The Rock.
and The Rock? I mean, when is Elon Musk gonna? Is it Elon Musk who does it? When is he gonna send somebody from Star Wars?
I'm sure Mark Hamill will go.
I mean, I bet you Mark Hamill would definitely do it.
Yeah.
He seems like he would, and I mean, I don't know about Harrison Ford. He's getting up there, but then again, Shatner went at what 90?
91.
I mean, Harrison Ford, I think, is 80 this year, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I guess he could do it. Hell, he flies. Wow. No, he doesn't. They
Not
took
anymore.
his license away.
Yep.
Sorry, Harrison, if you're listening. I heard about you had a little problem with the plane landing inappropriately, but
yeah, but he's still playing Indiana Jones, and I think that is, you know what? God damn it, that's something to be proud of.
hey, look, I am also a Indiana Jones fanatic too, and I know, shocker. I love it. Watch them every single time. I've warmed a little bit to the Crystal Skull. I don't like it as much as the original 3, but I have warmed to it. I can get through the movie now. I'm really, really looking forward to the Dial of Time, though. I think that's going to be a great movie this summer.
Dial of Destiny. I am not going to sit here again.
Oh, geez.
I have told you for years that I liked The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Since I was a kid. Nope, it's awful. It's terrible. It's a bad Indiana Jones movie. It's not true to the character. It's this, it's that, it's another. Shia LaBeouf swinging through the jungle with the monkeys. It's ridiculous. As if, getting your heart ripped out in the middle of a cave isn't, that's where we draw the line, though. Swinging like Tarzan, not a man ripping out another man's heart. His still beating heart. Anyway.
Totally, it could totally happen, though. Voodoo magic.
I will not have you sit here and no. Hold the phone.
Okay.
This is the same argument we had about the prequels. You told me, maybe not directly, but I didn't understand because I was a kid and blah, blah, blah. I didn't know any better. I was just amazed at the spectacle. And then I grow up and I say, I like all the Indiana Jones movies. I think they're all good. And no, the Temple of Doom is bad. The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is terrible. And look where we are in 2023. The movies I liked as a kid, you're surprisingly warming up to.
Look,
I will never.
I get it.
Back down from the opportunity to call you out for being a hypocrite.
Okay, look, I get
Someone's got to hold you accountable.
For 1,000 generations, I have denied those movies.
Don't.
Okay.
Don't.
All right. But look, here's the crazy thing.
Oh, please enlighten me.
I actually like the Crystal Skull like this much more than Temple of Doom. I still have trouble getting through the Temple of Doom, only because the beginning of the movie is just kind of awkward and it's slow. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All the way up until the part where they're like, eating the monkey brains. That up into that, and then the whole twist between Ford and Kate. Is it Kate Capshaw? What was her name? Steven Spielberg's wife.
Yeah, I don't know her.
Up until that thing, where he's trying to bang her and stuff like that. And, then they finally get into the movie where they get, they go through and they go into the room with the spikes. Until you get to that point, the movie is kind of like, it's hard to get through. But then after they get to that, then it kind of gets exciting because the movie is more Indiana Jones-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the beginning of it, though. That stupid song and dance
You don't like the Shanghai scene?
I hate the Shanghai scene. I just don't like it.
Look, it's been a while since I've seen all 4. Actually, I went back and watched The Last Crusade a couple weeks ago because I didn't know they were on Paramount Plus, which I guess I should have guessed. However, I only found out a couple weeks ago because I'm not as diehard of an indie fan as I am Star Wars.
Well,
obviously,
yeah, I'm not either, but I do.
I didn't know until about a month ago that the Temple of Doom was a prequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Wait a minute, what?
I swear to God,
No, it's not.
Temple of Doom takes place chronologically before Raiders.
Are you sure?
I swear to God.
Okay, I'm gonna have to research that because I've never
I'm
heard
not
that
kidding.
ever in my life.
I
thought you were going to tell me that you didn't realize General Veers was in like the last Crusade or something. But
I didn't.
you didn't know General Veers was in
You
the
didn't know
last...
who Will Hood was. Don't give me that
Wow.
shit.
But this is General Veers. He is like a key component of the original trilogy. You're talking about Gavin Ice Cream Machine, okay? He's just making snow cones for the snow troopers.
Will Hood was one of the most
Okay.
iconic characters in Star Wars history, all right?
General Veers brought down power generators so that they could land Imperial forces on the Hawk base.
Oh, but he let him get away, huh?
Not General Veers.
General Veers was
General
on
Veers,
the assault.
when you think about
Why
it,
did
General Veers is the only one out of the Imperial officers who actually did his job.
Admiral Piet?
He was sent down to... Vader said, get your butt down to the planet, take out those power generators, and secure that base so that I can come down there.
Why didn't he use a walker to blow any of the transports out of the sky?
Because the walker's head doesn't go that high. They only articulate it at an angle, and they can't fire that high.
Yeah, but I mean,
And those transports were behind the base. They weren't in front of the base where he came in the front door. Those transports left from the back door.
Yeah, but they still gotta go up at an angle.
Yeah, but
they weren't
went
going
away.
straight
They
up.
went away. They didn't go towards they didn't fly over top of the.
Why are we arguing about this?
This is canon. I mean, this is.
Why are we arguing about this?
I don't know. Why are we arguing about this?
You didn't know who Will Hood was. You've lost brownie points.
Okay. Well, you didn't know General Veers was in Indiana Jones.
I feel like not knowing one of the most important pieces of Star Wars history is far more important than not realizing that General Veers. Wait, hold on. What? He was the broker, the guy from the beginning of Last Crusade. Not the flashback scene. He was the guy who hired Henry Sr.
Yes, and then he was the guy. He was the rich guy who was actually conspiring with the Nazis.
Right.
To find the Grail.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's General Veers.
Huh. I don't know.
So I think it's weird that him and Han Solo share so much screen time together.
Yeah, but still, they're natural enemies.
But Spielberg, who made the movies, Lucas was the. I don't know if you know that he's the was the executive producer of the movie. I mean, no wonder he was in it.
He was the creator.
I thought Spielberg created it. Spielberg directed it. You're right. Lucas created Indiana Jones. And that's right, because
so far
Spielberg wanted, his dream was to direct a James Bond movie.
Right.
But he was never going to get a James Bond movie because he wasn't British. And so they came up with a James Bond-ish, like, archaeologist. That's what he's supposed to be like. So
the Indiana Jones was created by George Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know this, but when Star Wars premiered, Lucas wasn't at any of the premieres. Him and Spielberg went on vacation to Hawaii, which is when Spielberg talked about wanting to direct a Bond film,
Mhm.
and that's when Lucas was like, well, I've got a story treatment for this character that's better than a James Bond movie.
Mhm.
That's when he pitched him Indiana Jones,
Right.
Which, in the other thing was Lucas told Spielberg that he had 3 movies. He had a trilogy. He had 1 movie. He had the idea for Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that was it.
Yeah. So I knew that story. I didn't know that story. But...
I'm shocked because you didn't know who Wilbur Hood was.
Wow. Okay. You didn't know who General Veers was.
I know who General Veers was. I just didn't realize it was him in Indiana Jones. Because he wasn't saying the shield will be down in moments. You may start your landing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's on
and
and
who
on
was
about
the other one you said did
the
their
Cup
job
of Christ.
Besides,
Admiral Piet?
Then he let everybody get away.
Didn't Veer? You know what? I'm not.
I think he let everyone.
Not...
How many times did he lose the Falcon?
You know, not his fault.
He had one freaking job.
Not his fault.
Don't lose the Falcon.
What do you want him to do in a
One
Star Destroyer?
job. I don't care if
he's in the Super Star
I
Destroyer.
don't care
no, he wasn't.
if he's got to throw on a Stormtrooper outfit and get his butt out there with a cable and latch it onto something. You know, with a little jetpack. He had one job. Don't lose the Falcon. Kept screwing. I can't believe Vader never killed him.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about some restraint.
Didn't he? I'm pretty sure he survived through. Yeah, he survived through Jedi.
He did. Like, that's saying something, man. You live that long with Vader as your boss.
Yeah, I mean, he killed
right?
Admiral Oswald.
There is no going to HR in the Empire. You mess up.
Oh, well, you haven't.
You're done.
You haven't seen Dolores yet.
Who's Dolores?
Dolores is the HR officer.
Human resources officer. We have a human resources officer.
Technically, yes. The 501st has an official HR, but there's a one of the members does a character named Dolores, where she goes around to conventions and hands out citations for X, Y, or Z.
Really?
Yeah, that's a whole nother gambit there.
Okay.
But yeah, there is a character named Dolores who is the HR officer for the Empire.
Okay. All right. I didn't know we had a human resources division.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, someone like me wouldn't be going to HR. Someone might go to HR about me. I don't do HR.
Well, when
I just throw your ass out an airlock.
When Tarkin, steals your job, you might want to go to human resources.
I mean, let's be honest.
Talk about some collusion.
I mean, hey, we're standing here in the midst of my achievement, not his. I'm just saying.
The Emperor might not see it that way.
No.
Maybe you should go to Mustafar and talk to Lord Vader about this. I
should.
Talk to Grandpa. Grandpa will help you out.
He might have to.
So be careful, though. Don't choke on your aspirations.
I will not.
Oh God, that was awful. I hated every second of that. It's the low-hanging fruit.
It is the low-hanging fruit, but yeah. So it's funny. Speaking of low-hanging fruit, every time we have a farm, obviously, and where I'm down at the barn, when I get into my director clinic mode, I love my favorite line.
Are you commanding the animals to?
My favorite line from Rogue One.
Hold on, let me guess. Is it "Are we blind? Deploy the garrison"?
No, that is a good line.
I thought you were yelling that at the sheep.
I actually at the people that help us down there. I'll walk up to them and I'll say, I'll tell everybody to gather around, and I'll say, "Is this everyone?" And I always look at them and go, "One of you betrayed the Empire." That's my favorite line from the movie. I don't know why.
If we ever have horses get out while you're at the barn, please just are we blind? Deploy the garrison.
I'm gonna do it. I'll do it. So hey, let's be honest. It's not even just Rogue One. I try to employ Star Wars lines all the time. Oh my gosh, this is great. I forgot to tell you this, right? Obviously where I work, I don't want to say it on here, but where I work, okay, in the automotive industry, people ask me for stuff for Ford built a car called the Falcon in the 60s. Every single time they asked me for a part for the Falcon, I'll say, is there a submodel to it? You know, a submodel would be like if you had a truck. Is it a a high country? Or is it a some trim level of the truck? So I was asking that, and it was like, oh, I don't know which one it is. I said, well, is it the Millennium Edition? Not one person, and I've done it probably a half a dozen times. Not one person has said, "Ha ha, I get it, Millennium Falcon." No one has got it ever. And I do it so subtly. Like, oh, I need something for a 62 Falcon. Oh, is that the Millennium Edition? No, I think it's just the base.
You know what? I understand that one is low hanging fruit.
That is super low, and they don't get that one.
You need to really break out everything. Is that a Carillion model? Is it the?
Ooh, I never thought I'm gonna do that.
Is
one,
that the YT 1300?
Oh my God, is your engine? The engine is that the one with the YT 1300 model?
You know what? While we're on Star Wars trivia with the automotive spin on it, Brendan Wayne, the stuntman who did 90% of the body work for the Mandalorian. Do you know what his Durasteel armor has been coined now as? The Pinto armor. And for the longest time,
Pinto armor for the car.
Hear me out. The longest time, I thought he was talking about like pinto beans. And I was like, what does that even mean? But then I heard him tell this story about how I think it was him and his brother and their family had a pinto. Same color scheme, that like brown and like tan colors.
Yeah. So
it's since been coined as the Pinto armor.
Interesting. Pinto armor. Okay.
Yeah. So the food for thought. Yeah, there's your Star Wars trivia for the day.
What is the liquid that's used to drive the hyperdrive? The blue stuff from Solo.
Oh,
I know. I was trying to think of it.
Coaxium.
Coaxium. I'm gonna have to ask him. Do you need a coaxium for your Falcon?
Do you need a coaxium converter for the fuel system?
Oh my gosh, I'm so doing it next time. Somebody's gonna get it. Somebody is gonna be a Star Wars fan that's gonna get it.
We talked about this earlier. We are in a league of our own when it comes to our specific niche. Like I
agree.
You have your odds are, some would say 3,728 to 1 to finding another person that's a fan of cars and Star Wars. Did that one go over your head too?
No, but
Okay.
I've used the odds thing though. Funny story. Hey, I need this for my whatever. What do you think the odds of this working are? Probably like 3,720 to 1. You think? Like, yeah, that sounds about right. You use that one too. I know it's so bad. Low hanging fruit, folks. I'm sorry, but sometimes it just works out.
Yeah, using Star Wars quotes in your day to day.
I use Star Wars quotes in my day to day life.
Look, in my last job, oh my God, they hated it. I did it all the time. Granted, the people that know me know Futurama and Star Wars. Those are my two big like nerd pop culture things that I'm drawn to, and I'm famous at my previous employer for I think it was an entire year. We had a sales group chat that I didn't say a word in. I would only exclusively respond in Futurama GIFs. It would drive them nuts because I would always use a Star Wars quote or a Futurama quote to convey a message. It would drive them nuts. But now my new job, they love it.
Really?
Well, because they're also, I went from like 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old men that I was working with to, high school, college kids. So, the older generations don't really care, but these younger generations, they eat that shit up.
Another one I've used.
Oh God.
I know. You know, people come to the barn.
Mhm.
You know, people that come in their cars, like not the regular ones, but new people.
Mhm.
I have said, "You came here in that? You're braver than I thought."
Ugh. I've said that one to my
I've-
friends a few
I've
times.
used that on people like you've had some really questionable cars.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're talking about cars. Never mind.
Yeah, because you know they're in a car, and I'll be like, "You came here in that? You're braver than I thought." I've used that one a lot. So
I'm gonna let that jokes just go over your head.
I missed it.
Yeah, never mind.
Okay.
I'll
Anyways.
brief you on it later.
Oh boy. Okay. Yes, I try to use Star Wars quotes wherever I can. So. Some people get it. Most people do not.
don't.
They have no idea.
Yeah.
I've even used Star Wars quotes with your mom,
Oh,
and
wow.
she's like,
"Who'd have thunk?"
She
Those-
doesn't. Not a clue.
Shocker.
Not a clue.
I'm shocked. Absolutely shocked. Well, not that shocked.
So, what are you gonna do?
You know, how long you been trying to get her to watch Star Wars? 24 years?
25 years.
25 years? Is it 25 years?
25 years will be this year in June.
Huh.
Yeah, it's not. No,
Yeah, it's never gonna happen.
it's not gonna happen. So,
Yeah, with Skylar,
well, Skylar loves the Phantom Menace.
baffles me.
It's her favorite movie, and I mean, I like the Phantom Menace, but I'm surprised that of everything, that's the one she latched onto. Loves Jar Jar Binks. Loves Jar Jar Binks.
She makes fun of us relentlessly.
She's the one who named our cow JarJar Binks. Mr. Banks was His actual name was Jar Jar Binks.
I know that. However,
She named him.
get the fuck out of here.
I'm not.
You're dead serious. She named him Binks.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I thought that was you.
No, she named him Mr. Banks.
Learn something new every day, I guess.
Yeah.
Shows how much I pay attention. First off, she hates Star Wars. What?
But she likes that. She likes Jar Jar, and she liked Phantom Menace. Yeah, I just work here, sir. I'm sorry. I could get you to customer service if you like, if you have further questions. But yeah.
Can you forward me to Dolores?
Yeah, so I look forward to you to Dolores and HR so you can discuss this. So.
Wild.
I know. It's crazy. So, all right. Any other questions for me?
No,
Where are we going? Where are we going from here? We have been all over the board.
Yeah, Indiana Jones, cars, quotes, 501st. I mean,
The future.
future. Yeah. We got to go back to the future.
One of my favorite, and speaking back to quotes real quick, when I'm in the barn and people are screwing around, move along. That's another one. I use it all the time down there. Move along.
Oh, how did we get there from Back to the Future?
I don't know. It just made me think of that real quick because I said TK. Move along.
I mean, not a quote I get to use a whole lot, but, to make my point of Back to the Future relevant, give it some weight, Doc, you're telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean? So that's always a fun one. But that seems like a good a place as ever to wrap this up.
It's heavy.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Dad, thank you for joining me again. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I'm here for, to help the Empire out wherever I can.
not help your son, not just everything you do is for
You're
the
the
Empire.
deputy director of the Imperial Security Board. Of course, I'm helping you out. You're part of the Empire. And, of course, to help Beskar Bucket be the #1 podcast in the
The
nation.
#1 Star Wars podcast.
That's my dream.
Maybe not in views or in listens, but in quality. And the conversations are always second to none.
I'm looking forward to my third invite if I get one.
I don't know. You didn't know who Will Rowhood was. So
I will know for next time.
you're definitely gonna have to
research that and make sure that I'm up to par.
Yeah,
I do not want to talk to Dolores.
Let's see how your trial goes when I file
Okay.
the charges. All right. But thank you guys so much for listening. Again, Star Wars Podcast Day, I just want to mention it real quick. Once again, the reason that we're all doing this, I mean, there's over 100 podcasts that are involved in this. It's, it's to celebrate the fact that we can even do this. The people that started Jedi Talk back in '99, like, if that didn't happen, it's very unlikely that we would be here today, sitting here talking about Star Wars in this medium. And it's I'm very happy that the people behind the Star Wars Podcast Day allowed me to add my show as well as the Inflatable Falcon, the newly formed Rambling Star Wars Fan, Ken's new show, which you should definitely listen to. The Forces Behind Star Wars, which their episode, which is also out today, is the Georgies. Wow. I mean, just real quick, just to kind of to toot our own horn here, even though I had almost nothing to do with it other than showing up. One of the most well-produced things I've ever been a part of, and everyone there had a great time. Steven, Dexter, Anthony, Ken, Mike, myself. It was definitely something really special to be a part of. So when you're done listening to this, if you haven't already, go check out the Georgie Awards. It's I think we got it just under 2 hours, so it's a bit of a longer listen, but it's definitely well worth it, because you're definitely going to want to find out who won the best background character. That's definitely one
background character.
Yeah, there was a Georgie for best background character.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
cool.
But yeah, definitely go check out the Georgies. Star Wars Geek Girl. I'm pretty sure Mike and Zoe are doing the same thing we're doing, and having a parent-child conversation. But yeah, so definitely go check out Star Wars Geek Girl, the Rambling Star Wars Fan, the Inflatable Falcon podcast, In the Forces Behind Star Wars, and all of the other podcasts that are a part of Star Wars Podcast Day. God, how many times can I say podcast without losing my mind?
You're up to 17.
No, thank you. I'm glad someone was keeping track, because I wouldn't be able to. But yeah, definitely go check all those guys out. And, thank you so much for listening to another episode. Dad, once again, thank you for joining me.
Always a pleasure.
Congratulations on your approval into the 501st. I'm very, very happy to have you along with me serving the Empire.
You'll tell the Emperor as such? Sorry.
You had to get one more in?
One more. Just one more.
Can we end the show without you throwing in another low-hanging fruit?
I'm all done. I'm all done.
So anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. I know this is, again, a bit of a long episode for me, but thank you for listening to the Beskar Bucket. Make sure to check out everyone else from the Unifying Fandom Network. We are at the Beskar Bucket Podcast on Instagram. I try and post there whenever I got new episodes coming out. My next episode, which we were talking about, which by the time you're listening to this, you shouldn't be able to listen to it on YouTube. The next episode that I have already recorded was I had an AI generate me a script for an episode of the podcast that I read off. It's a really quick listen. It's just about 15 minutes, but I think it's really interesting. You're really going to like it. So check us out at the Beskar Bucket Podcast on Instagram. You can also find us at thebeskarbucket.com, where you can find links to the rest of our shows under the Unifying Fandom Network banner. And yeah, I think that about does it. So take care, everyone. Thank you so much for listening, and may the Force be with you.